There is a live view of the Hawthorne, California Control Center for SpaceX and the Dragon. A team there is monitoring their vehicle as it heads away from the International Space Station on course for a splashdown at about 11:34 a.m. Central Time. Today's deorbit burn will occur at 10:42 a.m. Central Time. We're getting close to wrapping up our coverage here on NASA television. But for all the latest on the deorbit burn and splashdown, you can either follow SpaceX's website at spacex.com, the company's social media accounts as well, or just log on to www.nasa.gov/station. That is the International Space Station homepage, www.nasa.gov/station. Or follow us along on social media at NASA_Johnson. It's at NASA_Johnson using the hashtag Dragon. Of course, we'll have our ISS update show today at 10 a.m. Central Time, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. The deorbit burn should occur during that program. If we get an update from SpaceX that has occurred, we will, of course, pass that on to you, with splashdown occurring at 11:34 a.m. Central Time later on today. Again, this vehicle bringing home 2,668 pounds of science and experiments. Quite a bit that was actually conducted during this mission, the 23 days that SpaceX and the Dragon spent up in space and attached to the station. A lot of experiments coming back home after having been on the International Space Station for a number of months. And then quite a bit of material was also delivered to the station. 1,268 pounds went up, and a lot of that is science that will stay on board for the next several months as those experiments are conducted and will come back home on a later flight. So everything looks good with Dragon as we get close to wrapping up this mission, this commercial resupply mission with the SpaceX Dragon spacecraft having completed its duty with the International Space Station. This team here in Mission Control will be handing over here shortly to their Orbit 2 counterparts, who will work with the Expedition 35 crew through the remainder of their day. We want to remind you of our special programming coming up on Thursday as we bring you live coverage of the launch of Chris Cassidy, Alexander Mazurkin, and Pavel Vinogradov. They are down at the Baikonur Cosmodrome as we speak, getting ready to launch into space. Of course, this will be an unusual flight with this crew launching and docking on the same day. Here's our entire coverage list, 2:30 p.m. Central Time. We'll have live launch coverage with a report from the Baikonur Cosmodrome there in Kazakhstan. Launch itself is at 3:43 p.m. Central Time. Our second of our three broadcasts will begin at 8:30 p.m. Central Time with docking coverage. Actual docking itself is at 9:32 p.m. Central Time. That crew will be docking with the Poisk module, which is part of the Russian segment of the International Space Station. And at 10:30 p.m. Central Time, we will return for our third and final broadcast as we bring you live views and live coverage of the hatch opening between Cassidy, Mazurkin, and Vinogradov and the crew that is currently on board. Chris Hadfield, Tom Marshburn, and Roman Romanenko as they become part of the six-member Expedition 35 crew on board the International Space Station. For all the latest, we invite you to log on to the website, www.nasa.gov/station. See all the latest activities of the crew on board, all of the latest imagery from the Baikonur Cosmodrome. There will be some new images today of the rollout of the vehicle that will carry that new crew up to the International Space Station. And, of course, all the latest information on the science and all of this research that the crew is doing each and every day as they work on board this orbiting complex. Again, we will be back here at 10 o'clock Central Time this morning, 11 a.m. Eastern, for our continuing coverage of Expedition 35 as part of our ISS Update show. We thank you for joining us. We will see you next time. This is Mission Control Houston.